Now, being the fifth largest oil producer in Africa, Gabon has experienced a strong economic growth in the past decades. But a decline in global commodity prices is now threatening to reverse those gains. So what progress has President Ali Bongo achieved in transforming Gabon into an emerging economy by 2025? And what challenges still lie ahead in diversifying the economy? From Libreville in Gabon, I'm Beatrice Marshall. Welcome to Talk Africa. While faced with a tough election later this month, President Bongo needs to convince his people that Agenda 2025 is headed in the right direction. While I sat down with President Bongo, he talks about his plans to diversify Gabon's economy and why he remains positive about Gabon's future. Excellency, thank you very much for your time. Now, let's start with the economic situation of Gabon, because your economy has been largely dependent on oil up until now. What has been the impact of the lower oil prices on your economy?
Well, as many oil-producing countries, it has been difficult for us. The good news is one could say that we anticipated, but when after election I decided that we would have to diversify economy, because we've been through those kind of crises in the past. So I thought that we have to be careful, and we started, a diversification program of our economy with results, because the impact, of oil on our GDP was much higher, 46%, down now to 23%. So that has enabled us to be able to sustain, the crisis in a better position than most countries. So what are your long-term and your short-term strategies, though, to deal with the lower oil prices, or to deal with the diversification? Our mid and long-term strategy is completely to reduce the weight of oil, on our economy, and we are going to continue with that. That's not to say that there is no future, for oil in Gabon. We are discovering more oil and gas field, but at this time the prices are not good. So before it comes back, in a better situation, we are going to continue to diversification on our economy. We started, in areas with success, forestry, creating much more industries, and also mining. We're also targeting agriculture, services. So altogether, the non-oil sector on this term has sometimes reached, double-digit growth rate. And it's because, the oil sector that, that kept us, lower. So given this result, we then think, and we know we're on the right direction. And then we're going to continue like that. Well, you're talking about there is still a future for oil in Gabon, though. There is still a future. What lessons, though, have you learned with your oil dependency in the past? Well, for oil and for other goods, we have to go through manufacturing. If we had, been able to transform our oil through better refinery, we wouldn't be in this situation. But most of our oil is sold, raw, without being refined. So we are looking in the future in a possibility of having, better refineries in Gabon in order for most of our output production to be refined here in Gabon, as we want to do the same in other sectors. So transformation of the economy is then key for us, because it will give us more jobs opportunities. And we need jobs because, as many African countries, 70% of the population is under 35. So we need jobs. We've been able to triple the amount of jobs that we create per year in Gabon, but we're still, short of the level that would help us take care of completely and erase unemployment. So really the future is, for us, has to deal with the transformation of our economy. In order to do that, we have to stress on, education and training programs, and to make sure we are going to do it the right way, we're talking with the private sector. Private sector, the entrepreneurs are the ones, to create, in most countries they create jobs. So we're talking to them to say, well, what are going to be your needs in 5, 10 years? So then we can, redirect our education and training programs to make sure that when our boys, come out of school or those, training centers, they could find, the proper jobs that suits, the development of our economy.
Let's look a little bit on your non-oil sectors, the sectors that you're talking about moving away from oil, and the sectors that you're going to be laying emphasis on moving forward. Clarify for us a bit of those sectors.
Well, it was important for us first to rely on our first, you would say, and sustainable wealth. That's the forest. 88% of the country is covered by the rainforest. And it was the first industry before oil, and it will probably be the last one. But that one is renewable. But we have to change, completely the system around, and not going on with this idea of, only exporting logs. So I took a decision to ban, log export and to start manufacturing, transforming here in Gabon. It was very difficult at first. We had programs, to accompany those that decided that they would create, local industries here. And right now, it is really working very well. We have been able to create a lot of jobs, and we have more, companies involved in the sector than even before. So this is an area where it was completely successful. But also, it highlighted the fact that we also needed to invest in infrastructure, road network, because, to have access to various parts of the country, but also when you take the goods out, in order to take them, drive them, to the factories, and then after that to the port. So we were down when it comes to road network, and we made a tremendous effort to develop, So on this term alone, we invested, more than $4 billion, in road infrastructure. Important also, not only for forestry, but also to have access to other opportunities, mining, tourism, agriculture. So the road network was very important to connect the country. And as we did so, we decided that we will link the road connection also with energy, bring water, electricity, but also link it with, new technology, broadband, everything. So that's really what we've done in order to have access to, various projects in the country and then starts in different areas.
Taking Gabon as an example, and as an example of a commodity-led economy, and looking at the forecast for 2016, where African economies that are commodity-led, their growth forecast has been downgraded now. What would you say are some of the lessons for these commodity-led countries? And would you say that the narrative, the Africa Rising narrative, is still assured?
Well, overall, I'm confident, about, what's going on in Africa right now. All of us are conscious, that we live in a different time, and Africa is a land of opportunity. We're attracting much more partners, and businesses, partners than before. We just have to make sure that, the development of our countries, is done in a way that, will really suits us, and not imposed. So the challenge for many African countries is still the same, a sustainable economy that create jobs. our population is a young one, so we need to create jobs. We need social services, strong, and that's all. So these challenges, alone are putting not only pressure on us, but showing us what we have to do. You also have, one idea that's very important for all of us: the ability to feed our own people. So agriculture is very important. Agriculture is very important, but it comes at this time also we are suffering from climate change, impacting us also. So all those ideas, made it here in Gabon for us to think and say, well, we have to come up with a good, sustainable development plan. Develop our country, develop our economy without touching the environment, while developing, while preserving the environment. And that's what we also have done. And one of our big programs now is going to be in agriculture. We spend $500 million, to feed ourselves. And that money is spent outside Gabon. Now imagine the same amount spent in Gabon. It changed completely the country around. It changed the economy around. A new sector that, boosts creating jobs and putting us also in a situation of being able to export. So these are the different challenges that we're faced with, and that we also have started to one after one decided to face the challenge.
Let's look at Gabonese society for a moment, and you're championing the equal access situation in Gabon. Is that an acknowledgement that Gabonese society is extremely unequal, and what are the pillars?
Well, if we really want to change the country around, I need everybody, and I need everybody, be working, and I need everybody to be given a chance, to make it. So that's why I started this Equal Chance program, because I know that you have a category of people in Gabon that do not want that. They want to go on with the old system. The old system at its limit. It cannot work anymore. So for us, it's important, to have a message of hope for the young Gabonese. And the message of hope is to say, well, I want to make sure that anyone has a chance to be where I am today. But not just that, any kind of job. So that's why we're focusing, on women, because we launched also the Decade of Women, and we're also targeting the youth. But it's important, we cannot develop this country without the participation of women. First, the majority of the population, but then also, today it is been proven, in many countries that, as formidable manpower, women. They're more dedicated to their jobs, when they really have one, and they perform better. So if we want to have the chance to develop our country, it's important, to focus these different groups, and to make sure that everybody really stands and have a chance. And this is what I'm trying to do now. I'm build my whole new strategy based on that. It starts with equal chance, equal education and training program. It's not because your father, mother wealthy that, you are going to have a better education. We have to make sure that everybody would have access to that education and training program. Then access to medical facilities, health for everyone. We have built in Gabon in the last 5 years many new medical facilities, international, standard, everything. So to make sure that, everyone has access. And to support that, we have a national insurance policy, and we have a national insurance company, CNAMGS, that also support the Gabonese, faced, with the illness. So these programs are very important to give everyone a chance. If you are in a country with a double system, with two systems, education or health care, you have a problem. So that's why I want to make sure that, our hospitals are better than the private clinics. Here in Gabon, private clinics are not better than hospitals. So that gives everybody a chance. And these really are important tools if we want to develop our country and to reach the target for us as Gabon emergent, So this is really what we are doing right now. And it's met with a lot of success by people. People understand what I'm trying to do, and they want to, and they're showing support for that.
When you look back, though, over the last 7 years, then, in terms of the progress that you're making, in terms of what exactly you're trying to achieve for Gabon, how would you rate your success over the last 7 years in terms of job creation, in terms of poverty alleviation, in terms of growing the economy?
Well, on all the different sectors, it would be fair to say that globally it's positive. But unfortunately, I'm not a man to be satisfied, even with the success, As long as I haven't reached my goal, I'm not going to be satisfied. So I think we have taken a major step in the right direction. And most importantly, it's working. We see it's working because we see results. In every different area, we see results. Now, clearly, we have to accelerate. We have to move faster because we still have Gabonese suffering, and for these, we can't slow down. We have to move forward. The reforms have to be implemented in a faster manner, and then now it's time for us to keep on investing in areas where we know it is going to make a great impact for the people. We have been able to test, our policies and to see what has worked better and what has not worked. And that's what I'm going to correct. But globally, it has been, a positive term.
What do you see as your biggest success for Gabon in the last 7 years?
Well, I think I have few successes, not just one. We have been able to connect the country, in a way that hasn't been done before. In the last 7 years, we built more roads than the last 30 years. We're able to also enroll almost 1 million Gabonese, more than almost 2/3 of the population for medical insurance. And it's really working, and people are very happy. We also were able to develop, ICT. We have 4G, and soon we'll be able to connect the whole country. So there are areas like that where we have been very successful, and the beginning of transformation of, our economy, with the one strong example. Gabon's always been one of the top, exporters of, manganese. We compete all the time, with South Africa and Australia. But for the first time, we started, manufacturing, the manganese, or here in Gabon. That's a great symbol when it comes to, industrialization, of our economy. So we're very pleased, and then we're also pleased now to see that we attract much more, business leaders from different countries. Gabon's open for business, so we have more foreign direct investment. And in the future, in the years to come, I think that's a tendency that's going to be the increase. So people recognize that we've done efforts. Nothing is perfect, but they trust, us. And they know that we're committed and dedicated, and we're going to move forward.
You have an election upcoming, though. What will be your 3 priorities in your next term?
Well, first, important for us to keep the country in peace. No peace, no development. Secondly, I want to, based on the Equal Chance program, we want to move, faster on the education and training programs. Very important. Why? Because you need to qualify. We need to qualify the Gabonese so that they can take on, these new jobs that are going to be created because of the diversification. Third, it's important for us to improve quality of life. everyone should feel, at just even the smallest level, everyone should feel an improvement. Improvement in your life means that you keep the hope alive, because no improvement, no hope, and you have to keep hope alive for people. So it's important for us to also focus on improving life condition.
You've talked about maintaining peace for the country. Do you have any concerns at all regarding security and peace, especially in the upcoming election?
We observe that Central Africa was not involved in the terrorist attack. Now, some countries in this area are involved in a war, and some of them are our neighbors. So what can happen in a country so close could also happen to us. We've seen large cities, important cities in Africa being hit with terrorist attack. It would be foolish to think that it could happen to you. So one has to prepare for that. And we're talking, my colleagues and I have to, we putting security again, on our agenda in the right place. Because what the continent needs mostly is peace. If we want to be in a position to attract, investors, we need peace. From north, south, east, west, it's important for us. So you will see more and more countries involved, in trying to combat, terrorism. Unfortunately, we're going to go through military spending in order to seek, peace and enforce peace. But that's something that we really cannot avoid doing.
What do you see as Gabon's role, though, in enhancing peace in the region? What do you see as Gabon's role? Because Chad, Cameroon, Nigeria, all are involved in the fight against Boko Haram in the West African region. What do you see as your role?
We support, other countries. In Central Africa, we have troops. In Cameroon and Chad, we participate, financially in support. And then we also are involved, in diplomatic level. Mediation as much as we can do. We're involved. But what is important for us in our message is that if we really want to change things around, we have to change the economy, boost the economy. Because if the economy does better, you reduce poverty. And poverty is a bedrock also for some of these problems, as fundamentalism, all these things. So the economy is still the main focus.
I want to get your views, though, on your partnership with China and your assessment of China's growing resource partnerships with Gabon.
Well, China, over the years now, has become one of our most important partner. I myself have visited, China more than 11 times, and I'm looking forward, making my next trip, if everything goes well. Because I think I've had a very good meeting with President Xi, and we look and see the future, and we look in the same direction. What is important, with China is that there is not just one sector, the cooperation with China is a paramount one, It touches every different aspect, and this is very, very good. Chinese now have a better understanding of Africa needs. They know Africa now, so that's why you have to count them as one of the strong partners and not just Gabon but many African countries. The last conference we had in Johannesburg was a very good conference, very good conference, and it's a high valued, partnership. And plus, we're doing business with friends.
Are there specifics, though, that you would be seeking or that you are seeking in your partnership with China?
As I told you, it touches, every aspect, so that's just one. Of course, China is been helping us a lot, in infrastructure, and then we'll be looking to develop more infrastructure. Infrastructure is very important now if you want to have a strong modern economy to develop on. So I'll be looking at that, but also other aspects.
Right. I just want to come back very briefly to your upcoming re-elections, though, and to find out exactly what do you hope to do differently in the next 7 years if re-elected?
Well, I hope to go faster, on many reforms. Some have not been some have not been implemented completely altogether. So I hope to be able to move faster, in reforming the economy and really transforming and changing our economy. And this is vital for me. So this is what I hope that I'll be performing, better.
At the end of it all, though, at the end of your term, what kind of legacy would you want to have left? What kind of Gabon would you like to see?
This is what we are, all of us, dreaming about, emerging Gabon. I hope that I'll be able to be successful, in that philosophy, and then they say, well, for people to look back and say, well, he did pretty good.
Your Excellency, thank you.
Thank you very much indeed.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. And that's all we have time for this week on Talk Africa. But do join us again next week for another edition of the program. From the Presidential Palace in Libreville in Gabon, it's goodbye.